Hello. What's up, boys? Today we've got an absolute banger of a video for you. I'm going to be telling some scary stories and paranormal stories that I know. Hope you enjoy. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/fliphcheese. All right. We're going to begin today's story. We're going to begin today's story with a bit of a bonus, Jim. So to give you guys a little bit of background, my grandfather is the type of man, he does not play games. He is a very serious man. And I'm going to tell you guys a bit of a story about I'm going to tell you guys a story that my grandfather told me. This is a bit of a bonus story. This one isn't spooky. This was just a bit of a bonus story. I want to tell you guys the story of why my grandfather became a Christian. Let's begin. All right, so my grandfather, when I don't know, let's just say like the 1940s. I don't know. He's old. I'm not really sure on his exact age at this point. They were born and raised in Massachusetts, so that is just the setting to put you into perspective of like what he's seen. I'm going to tell you this story basically exactly how he told me. He told me that he was standing on an airport landing strip, and he watched. I think it was his father. I'm not 100% sure on who it actually was, but he told me that he watched. Let's just say it was his father, because I think it was someone important to him. It was either a really close friend or it was his father. Once again, this is not a spooky story. He said that it was basically an empty airspace, and he watched his father driving down the airport, and a moose ran out in front of him and hit the front of his little pickup truck that he had, and he watched his father somehow get flung out of the back windshield of the pickup truck, and he landed on his feet and watched the car flip like 4 times and roll down the airway straight down. He watched a man hit a moose, get launched out of the car and land on his feet, and watch the car flip in front of him. And my grandfather said it was at that very moment that he got on his knees and asked Jesus to join his heart, to be the coach of his religious basketball team. All right, so we're going to begin today's story with a friend of mine, for whatever reason, is essentially like predisposed to just have paranormal things happen to her. So the first 3 stories that I'm about to tell are secondhand. Technically, 4 of the stories that I'm about to tell are secondhand stories from people that I sat with and watched get emotional telling it. There's no doubt in my mind that these things actually happened. So let's begin with my friend Jessica. She used to be a friend. Don't really talk to her too much. Anyways, Jessica. So when Jessica was growing up, she always used to see these shadowy figures. It was the shape of a person, complete shadow with red eyes. And her whole life she saw them. She told her parents about it. They didn't really put any sort of evidence. They didn't believe her, essentially. So when she was, if I had to guess, 13 or 14 years old. Her mother got pregnant with twins. Well, she gave birth to the twins. And as the kids were growing up, guess what she told, or guess what the brother and sister told her mother that they started seeing in the same house that Jessica grew up in? Freaking shadow people. So there's no like conclusion to this story. Basically what I'm trying to tell you is, in this family's home, two separate groups of children have seen black shadow figures with red eyes. That's just a spooky thing. And hearing her tell it'll just shake you to your core. Freaking shadow people, dude. Yeah. All right, so second story. This is, I have to tell you these three off of the rip to prepare you for what I have experienced personally, like actually has happened to me. So story number 2, they just get increasingly crazier. Story number 2, Jessica. What's up, that Russian? Same girl, Jessica, told me this story. How's today going? A little sleepy, per the usual. How are you, buddy? So her uncle, so aunt and uncle married group. So her blood aunt married her uncle by marriage. So her uncle was like this like industrial painter, and her whole life the painter guy was known all around the city that we live in, and he died of cancer in the late 90s, early 2000s. Well, around the mid to late 2000s, Jessica's aunt became deathly sick with something that they basically had given her a time window for everyone to say their goodbyes. They had been through this whole process for years, and the time has finally come. We're basically certain at this point in the story that Jessica's aunt is going to pass away in the extremely near future. So Jessica and her whole family go to the hospital to say their goodbyes, and the phone in the room rings. Ling, 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 ling. Hello? No one says a word. So they're all in their room trying to basically make her as comfortable as they possibly can make her. And the phone rings again. And this time they're a little apprehensive to answer it, but they answer. And they said, "Hey, there's a guy calling about finding out what room this patient is in." And they said the patient's name. They said, "Well, who is it?" They said, "Oh, he didn't say." So, again, ling, 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 ling. They pick up the phone. And of course, there's several calls throughout this period of time, but we're only touching on the points that are important to this current story. So they get another call, and they say, "Hey, that guy that called about coming to or asking for information about this patient is standing at our desk." And they said, "Well, what's he look like?" And they said, he's just a white guy in a painter's outfit." So of course everybody's super confused because they don't know any painters. The one that they did know died 10 years ago. So they walk out to the desk, and the guy is nowhere to be found. They can't find the guy anywhere. So they asked her where he went, and they said nobody was really paying attention. I guess he just walked off or something. So they get a call, and when Jessica's mother answers the phone, along that, of course, her siblings and a bunch of people are there. This was before the twins were born, by the way. Jessica said I think she was like maybe 11 years old. So Jessica's mother answers the phone, and she's looking around the room at everybody to make sure that everybody that she knows is there, and it's the hospital phone, so she can't put it on speaker. And she says, okay. And she hangs up. They say, "Who was it?" And she says, well, let's just make up a name, Bruce. And they said, Bruce? What do you mean it was Bruce? And she said, I don't know how this is possible, but I just talked to your dead husband on the phone. Like, actually talk. And Jessica says she's standing there. Her mother is dead ass serious, super confused, of course. And they said, like, 2 days later, they got another call. Ring, ring. Hello. Hey, that painter guy is back up here again. And as soon as the words came out of her mouth, like basically 2 or 3 people from Jessica's family opened up the door as fast as they could and ran up to the nurse's desk. And who's standing at the freaking desk? Her dead-ass husband is standing at the desk. And he basically told them, well, I heard what happened, and I wanted to come tell her goodbye and bring her ease of mind. So Jessica, her mother, and her mother's sister went up to the desk and brought this man into their room, and Jessica's entire family, every single person that is directly attached to this dying woman, who is also like barely conscious but was still alive, all witnessed a dead man who distinctly had a picture of, I think it was like an anchor or something on his forearm from where he served in the military. Indistinct, like you could not get it wrong. Walked into the room, kissed that woman. She died that night, and they never saw or heard from him again. Someone explain that to me. How so many people can witness a person who is dead walk in and kiss a woman, she dies that same night, and you never hear from him again. Explain it to me. Explain it to me. I mean, literally. Okay. All right, and then I want to try and give you guys at least a couple of seconds to process what I'm saying before I keep going. That's just the nature of the beast when I'm sitting here talking to myself, I guess. All right, I will proceed to the next story. So the final story that Jessica told me. This was all one night while we're chilling after we got, like, I think we all went swimming over there or something. All right, Cole, good night. He just woke up from the game. I think I'm going to go see my wife. She's dying. And just jumped up like a zombie. Good night, Cole. Thanks for being here, buddy. All right, let's rock. Let's keep going. All right, so Jessica's mother got married to this very tiny man. I think his name's like Corgi or something. It's very strange, and he plays an upright bass. It's like just the weirdest thing in the world. Like, he's such a little tiny man, and he plays bass. So that's cool, I guess. But Jessica's mother and father got divorced in the very early 2000s. And essentially, Jessica's father, to get back at her mother, married like way, way, way too fast. And married a woman who hired somebody to kill him so that she could get the insurance money. So the night that Jessica's father was literally murdered of her insurance money, the way that Jessica's house is built is the only real way that I can describe it is when you look at it, it looks like you're looking at a house on a hill, like right here. This is the house. But on the back side of this house is a gigantic hill. And what you see is the tip of the iceberg, but up underneath it is a whole thing. It goes about this far in reference. It's huge down there. And they got a pool down here and everything. Well, Jessica fell asleep down here. It was like a little playroom that they built for her when she was a very small child. So she would go play out by the pool, get exhausted, and fall asleep down there. She specifically said she fell asleep watching Titanic. Not that that matters, but the night that her father died, within 20 minutes of his actual death, his soul leaving his body, Jessica said that she fell asleep downstairs and she remembered being carried up the stairs of her house and put in her bed, blanket pulled up, tucked in, and getting kissed on the forehead. The next morning, neither her mother or the weird bass player guy remembered it. So the question is, did Jessica's father, before he passed on to whatever is after where we are, carry his toddler daughter up to bed and tuck her in, kiss her, and then move on? It's just hearing her tell that story is chilling. All right, boys. Now we're about to get into the meat and potatoes. Either somebody tripping and sleepwalking, or that man just built different. That man was so committed he died and then took his daughter to bed. What a good dad, by the way. So we're gonna go back to my granddad. I know I told you guys the story about the dude hitting the moose and landing on his feet and watching a truck flip on or whatever. So I am directly associated with all of this, with this whole situation. I was not there for like the very end, like what the meat and potatoes of this story. One time I basically dreamed, but it felt real, that I walked from where I was sleeping on the couch to my room and went to bed. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Okay, so I can't remember. I think he's Granddad's brother. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's Granddad's brother. Granddad's brother's wife, I think she had multiple heart attacks and it killed her. And I remember her funeral and all that. Okay, so this is where it starts. I'm telling you, the next like 4 to 5 stories that I'm about to tell you are going to chill you to your bone. So, Charles's wife died, right? Remember, this is my grandfather. I have displayed to you this man plays no games. He got hit by a car, and while he's laying in the road, yells at my grandmother to put shoes on because she's diabetic. He don't play games, okay? He doesn't care that he got hit by the car. He's worried about his wife losing a foot. So he said, yeah, I talked to Charles today, and he said his phone won't quit ringing. So let me describe to you in human terms what my grandfather told me. He said that 2 weeks after, if Zach one, thank you so much for the follow, buddy. I really appreciate it. Welcome home. He said that 2 weeks after his wife died, at 4 p.m. every day, which I don't remember what show. Let's just say it's Dr. Phil because that's the funniest. Every day, Charles and Betty would sit in matching recliners in their living room, and they would watch Dr. Phil or whatever it is. So, of course, the first 2 weeks after she died, super awful emotional time for him, trying to watch Dr. Phil without her, because it's just what he's used to. And after 2 weeks of him being upset, I think it was exactly to the day, 14 days after she died, and he tried living his life without her. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, at 4 p.m. every day, his phone would ring from her number. And he would pick it up anxiously, waiting to hear her say something, and she would never say anything. So this happened permanently. It never stopped. I think he said he let it go on for about a month and a well, not. I think Granddad said it lasted for about 3 weeks. That every day at 4 p.m. his dead wife's cell phone number would pull up or would ring, and every day he would. You think my face cam looks like an ad? Dude, stop. That's too sweet. I just got an ad. Oh, okay, true. I literally shit myself and find the location of the call. So, this was kind of before that Russian, by the way. Granddad. So, anyways, after like however long, 3 weeks of him letting the phone ring every day, he got the phone disconnected. Okay, so that's basically the end of this. That's the end of that story specifically. But the crazy stuff that happened with Uncle Charles is not over. It gets crazier. It gets so much crazier. So this is my grandfather telling me this. He would not bull crap me, and he went to the house and saw this specifically happen. So for whatever reason, are these stories true? 100% absolutely they're true. So Granddad went to his house because Charles was very, very shaken up, and he couldn't tell him on the phone what happened. So my granddad drives to where my Uncle Charles lives, and he gets there, and Charles is sitting in the living room with hands full of jewelry, weeping, just crying. So Granddad asks him what's going on. Oh, Cat Gang is here. Thank you so much for the follow, buddy. Welcome home. It's so good to see you. So, this is what happened. Betty and Charles, when Betty was very sick, had a discussion about how she did not want to be buried with her jewelry because it's worth a lot of money and it's a waste burying somebody with jewelry. And I don't know what other reasons there possibly could be. But Charles, being so absolutely broken up and torn up about his wife literally dying, he decided to send her with the things that she loved the most. So he put whatever other stuff there is. It doesn't honestly matter. Let's say stuffed animal, Sudoku book that was unfinished. I don't know. But basically he buried her with every single piece of jewelry except for her wedding band, which I think he kept on a necklace. Like where you read scare stories with a creepy ambiance. Absolutely, I would love to do that, Eve. So keep in mind, Granddad gets there and Charles is laying in the floor, weeping, holding jewelry. Well, I guess that my granddad didn't know that the whole conversation and everything like that. Charles said that he woke up and the jewelry box that he emptied out into her into her casket to bury her, he woke up at 2:00 in the morning because his phone rang, and when he picked it up, there was no number or anything, and when he answered the phone, he didn't hear anything. I think he, of course, for the sake of it being creepy, I think Granddad said he heard static. I don't think that's true, honestly. So Granddad said that he woke up at 2:00 in the morning, and he heard like the sound of what he thought was keys, and he turned on his light and looked around and noticed that the box that had been closed was popped open and full of all of the jewelry that he literally buried her with. And I think he didn't notice it at first when he turned the light on, and then when he woke up later on in the day, anyways, he noticed the box. He immediately got up and he dumped it into the living room, and he sifted through it, And each and every piece of jewelry that he buried with his wife, he accounted for in his living room, sat it in the floor. How does that even happen, bro? All right, that Russian. Sweet dreams, buddy. Good night. Creepy pasta with a nice voice, because most of the readers sound. I appreciate it. You think I could be the creepy pasta? Nah, you don't mean it. You don't mean it. All right, boys. So, it's time, okay? It is time for me to, one, address my trauma that I have been through, and two, to finally open up and tell you guys what happened after my father died in my arms. There are 3 things that have happened since my dad died that have definitely implied, I'm glad I didn't go to sleep. Alpha. So, there are 3 things that have happened since my father died in my arms. Story number 1. Very easy, light, okay? Super easy. This one is easy to get through. All right, so I'm hiding from work in the storage room. So, the night Dad died, after we went and got food and then we came home and stuff like that, I came home and I got in my bed, and I will never forget this. This literally happened exactly the way that I'm telling you. I came home. I walked in my room. I didn't close my door. I laid down in my bed. This is the actual day that my father died in my arms. Remember that. I put my hands across my chest just like this. I lay back, and I took the biggest breath of my life. When I did that, and I closed my eyes, and my head touched my pillow, we have this little, the only way I could describe it is, it was a shelf, very long shelf that my mother put Beanie Babies on in my room, and I had like a couple little things. I had a football up there, there's a basketball, and like a bunch of other stuffed animals, some Pokemon stuff up there too. So, when I put my head on my pillow, the football, I heard a sound, and I looked up, and I watched the football. Physically been sitting in the same place for 7 years at least. I watched it roll. I literally watched it roll out off of the shelf and land in my floor. And as soon as that happened, I did the typical, like, a mom about to grab her baby because they're getting in a wreck. I literally, as I watched it fall, I was like, like, what in the heck? And it bounced like 3 times, and it was so flat. Like, I just specifically remember it being so flat. And I picked it up, and it was freezing cold. I was like, I literally looked at it, and I was like, as a matter of fact, I said, I put it back up there. That was the end of it. So now let's go to 2 days after that. I told my mom about it. I was like, bro, that football just fell. Like, I am not about to do this poltergeist garbage. Like, I get it. My dad died, and I'm messed up in the head, but I didn't just imagine this. I mean, I'm 20 years old. Like, I know what happened and what didn't happen. So, the next thing is, like, the most defining, scary thing that has ever happened to me in general. This happened, I swear to God, and there are witnesses to it. So, 2 days after that football fell, I was laying in my bed, and all of the sudden, it felt like an earthquake was happening. Like, my bed was shaking left to right. So much so that it woke me up. And when it woke me up, I grabbed a hold of the curtain, and I looked outside, and I was like, bro, is there an earthquake happening right now? I got out of bed, and I walked into my mom's room, and I was like, Mom, is there an earthquake currently going on? Because I kind of felt like I was still shaking a little bit. Maybe I was just a little bit sleep deprived. She said, no, you had a bad dream. Go lay back down. So I sat back down on my bed, and it wasn't shaking. I was looking at my legs. I was looking at the floor. I was looking out the window. I was like, bro, like, what is, like, actually going on right now? And I was like, okay, maybe I dreamt it. I laid down and closed my eyes, and as soon as I closed my eyes, my freaking bed started shaking. And it woke me back up. I turned my light on. I flipped my blanket down, and I looked at my feet, and I was looking, and my bed was moving left to right. I was watching my bed move. Flash forward. This happened like 3 or 4 times. After the 3rd time, aw, Frost. Thank you for the raid, pal. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much, Frost. So, as my bed shakes for the 3rd time, left and right, mods, let me get an SO for Frostworth. I got up out of bed. I stood in my room, and I just looked up at the ceiling, and I said out loud, verbally, audibly, I said, Dad, I know that you're worried about Mom and me. I know that you're scared for us, but you have got to leave me alone. You are scaring me. It didn't shake for about 2 years. Flash forward 2 years, and I am laying in bed in a different apartment than the one that I currently live in with my ex. And out of nowhere, 2 years later, my bed starts shaking with my ex in it. Starts shaking. I woke her up frantically. Hey, wake up. I said, do you feel the bed shaking? Do you feel the bed shaking? She said, what is that? I said, get up right now. And I got up, and we both stood over my bed and looked down at it, and the bed shook for like 3 seconds and then stopped. I said, my bed is shaking. She said, yeah, it is. One witness. Let's go like 3 months in the future. Clay is at my house, and we fell asleep watching. He fell asleep watching a Mortal Kombat stream. It was when Mortal Kombat X was huge. I was low-key grinding the crap out of that game, and Clay fell asleep. While Clay's laying on the other side of the bed, don't worry, we've got a no homo pillow between us, boys. Nobody panic. It's not like that. It's not like that. So, hey, Sarah. Clay falls asleep. The bed starts shaking. Well, Clay is an extremely heavy sleeper, so I had to punch him like at about a 6 or 7. Punch him directly in the spine to wake him up, gave him a tingler, and he woke up. And I said, Clay, do you feel the bed shaking? He was like, yeah, what is that? I was like, I don't know, bro. I just need to know that you feel it. And he said, yeah, I feel it. And then he went back to sleep. To the day, Clay says that he doesn't remember that story. It really did happen. Clay was asleep. So, I mean, I'll take what I can get. All right, so let me see if I can pull this video up real quick, because I actually have physical proof of this final story happening. Let's see. Got to remember who I sent it to. It was an earthquake. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so too. But it actually was not. Okay, I got the video. Okay, so final story. Yeah, it was wind indoors. Yeah, that's what it was. Shaking an entire bed. Yeah, okay. So I was dating a girl that had 2 kids. One of which was 3, one of which was 5. The 3-year-old, on one occasion, initially, it was just me and him. I was watching him, and what's up, Nico? How you doing? It's good to see you. Well, hello, Punjabi. How are you? You are also a beautiful human. It's so good to see you. Um, so I am laying in bed and I am watching I don't know if I should say his name. I've said it before on here. I think I need to protect him. Um, let's call him Johnny. How's your day? Great. How is yours, buddy? Um, I don't like Johnny. I'm gonna just call him Colt. So, Colt is standing in the edge of the room, and he's looking up at the ceiling in the edge of the wall, like where the two walls meet, like this. He's standing right there, looking up, like this, just saying stuff. And he looked up, and I said, Colt. And he turned around. He said, what? I said, who are you talking to? And he looked up, and he sat down. And I said, Colt, who are you talking to? And he looked up, and then he looked at me as if mimicking whatever it was that he was talking to said. He literally says audibly to me, he looks up and he goes, I'm the one in charge here. Just like that to me. The kid can't hardly talk. He goes, I'm the one in charge here to me. What is that? So, I have got never get a kid. It's we out. All right, boys. So I told you before I started this story that I had proof of it, did I not? Guess who's back again. Flipper's back. He hates cheese. Duh.
OWO.
Thank you, Damien. I genuinely appreciate that from the bottom of my little broken heart. Thank you so much for the sub. You're an absolutely incredible human being. All right, boys. So it's time. I got to give you the proof. So I got a call, right? I got a call while I was at work and said, hey, Colt is sitting in your living room and he won't go to bed. And I was like, well, do whatever you got to do. If you need to spank him, put him to bed. She said, no, I think you need to hear this. And as soon as she said that, I got in my car and left to go home. You guys want to hear what I walked into? You guys want to hear what I walked into? I got her to record me talking to him. This is 100% real. Are you guys ready? This is 100% real. All right, Colt, look. So, who are you talking to over there earlier? Who are you talking to? Was it the man?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to over there?
It's your daddy. It's you. It's you. It's your daddy.
It's your daddy? How would a 3-year-old know what my father looks like?
It's your daddy. It's your daddy.
How would a 3-year-old know what my father looks like? Yeah. Unless he was told.
Bro, no. So here is the whole context. Here's the whole context. See you, Eve. That is, no, he's not my kid. He was my ex's kid. So here's the whole context. When I came home, I went. So when I got home, I almost hit him when I opened the door because he's standing in this room where I am sitting, maybe a foot away from me right there, looking at the corner of the room like he was in my room that day that he said, I'm the one in charge here. So I came home. Hey! Colby, thank you so much for the raid, buddy. Did you have a good stream? Thank you so much, dude. I'm finishing up my my scary stories real quick. So when I came home, I almost hit him because he was still standing in the same place talking to him. He'd been talking to that spot on the wall for like over maybe 20 minutes or so when I got here. So whatever it was that he was talking to had piqued his interest completely. And this is a kid, he'd take a toy, play with it for 5 minutes and move on to another toy. He's got spoiled brat energy a little bit. So when I got home, ready to cuddle up with my wife, stay beautiful. Hey, you too, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Colby. I really appreciate it, buddy. So when I came home, I immediately grabbed him and I sat him down right there. And I went into my kitchen and I grabbed the picture of my family photo, a picture of me, my mother, my father, and basically his brother, sister, and his mother that we took at the beach years and years and years ago. So I said, I held the picture like this. I hugged the photograph and I said, Colton, who are you talking to? And he said, the man is what he initially said. I said, who are you talking to, Colt? He goes, I'm talking to the man. I said, who's the man? And I sat down beside him and I held the photograph of my father. Of course, there's 783 people in this picture. And I said, you're talking to the man. He said, the man. I said, is the man in this picture? And he said, yeah. I said, point to it. He couldn't point to it. Everybody calm down. He didn't point to it. But I said, is he in this picture? He said, yeah. And I said, point to it. And he started acting shy or whatever. So, I told her, I was like, go get your phone. So she started recording me. And I said, who are you talking to? And then that's when the video started. Talking to the man. Okay. Yeah. And I actually have one final story. We're actually going to end it on kind of it's real spooky, but it's not like life-changing spooky. So, when I was really little, first of all, I used to have this recurring dream that I got kidnapped by some mobsters with Britney Spears and thrown into the back of a car. And I used to have that dream all the time. What does it mean? I don't know. So anyways, around the time that I had that dream for the final time, I used to always have... Oh, Bugsy Potter, thank you so much for the follow, buddy. Oh, that's so sweet. Welcome home, man. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much, buddy. So, I used to always have these petrifying night terror horror dreams where I would be asleep and something would scare me. So I would wake up in real life and I would jump out of bed as fast as I could. I would literally jump so fast that my blanket wouldn't even hit the bed by the time I was in my parents' room because I used to have dreams about demons and stuff like that all the time. As a matter of fact, my mother slept with me until like much later of an age that most kids had their mother sleep with them because of how bad of dreams I had. I had such bad dreams. So I think I was like 15 years old. I was 15, dude. I was driving a car quite literally at that age. I was not a kid anymore. I was still a kid, but I wasn't a kid anymore. So I will never forget this for the rest of my life. I was dreaming that below my feet there was a shark like circling back and forth around my bed. Matter of fact, we'll do this. There was a shark doing like this around my bed. And I just remember telling myself over and over again in what I thought was real life, but in my dream, I was dreaming that there was a shark swimming by me over and over again. And I just remember telling myself, I don't think the water is too deep for me to run. And remember, I still got the little kid thing, and every time I had a bad dream, I'd just go run into my mother's room. So I'm looking at this shark. I'm like, okay, the next time he loops around, I'm going to jump out of my bed, and I'm going to run into my mother's room and just dive full-fledged like an eagle into her bed, and I'll be safe. So I watched the shark go past the foot of my bed, boom, just like that. I flipped my blanket out, and I jumped down, and the water was like knee level, so I was sloshing, but I was going just as fast as I could. I swear to God, the Lord is my witness, this story is true. I ran out of my room. The whole house was flooded. I ran into my mother's room, and I jumped into her bed like I said I would. Spread eagle, just like this. I hit her bed. I thought she was in it. It was just a bunch of pillows. And as soon as my face hit just like that, it woke me up, and I was out of breath, like I had just ran through water, and I woke up, and the entire foot of my bed was sopping wet, like soaked wet, like I had just got out of a swimming pool and jumped into my bed. The entire foot of my bed was soaking wet. I have no words. I have no idea how that's even possible. It's absolutely insane. Like, absolutely insane. Dream all the time that I'm climbing the stairs and the steps behind me start falling. Fell through the endless void. Yeah. There's a lot of things that psychologically, there's an entire genre of psychology that is the study of dreams. And my uncle has some sort of degree or something in it. And apparently, things that happen in dreams are interpreted in certain ways. So like if you're walking up steps and steps are falling apart behind you, it's basically your insecurity. It's basically psychologically, you feel like you have no control and that everything is falling apart behind you. That's, essentially what it means. But yeah, that was 45 minutes or so of pretty scary stories. Hope you guys liked it.